LSD, cocaine, and ecstasy are now just a click of a mouse away.
He is
Oh,
basically
I've heard of the
eBay,
Silk Road
Amazon of the
before.
drug trafficking world.
He also allegedly hired a hitman to kill a White Rock, BC user.
Was sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Zubumafu? Is it a children's
For
show?
roughly 1,500 years, the Eurasian trade routes that spanned over 4,000 miles played a central role in facilitating economic, cultural, political, and religious interaction between the East and the West.
That's a
The
really
name
long
Silk
way to
Road
go.
comes from the highly lucrative trade of silk textiles that were produced almost exclusively in China. The sale of these highly sought-after goods is likely what led Ross Ulbricht or Dread Pirate Roberts to adopt the name for his darknet marketplace, though instead of silks, he would be facilitating the trade of every illegal good.
Wait, hold on. Was he selling 200 pills of Viagra? Oh, for 583 Bitcoin. Okay, that's probably a decent amount of money.
Service you could imagine. On January 27th,
I was like, dollars?
2011, I came across this website called Silk Road. It's a Tor hidden service that claims to allow you to buy and sell anything online anonymously. I'm thinking of buying off it, but wanted to see if anyone here had heard of it and could recommend it. I found it through this link, which if you have a Tor browser, directs you to the real site. Let me know what you think. This is the first ever mention of Silk Road anywhere on the internet. The user Altoid acting, very poorly, as an intrigued third party with the intent of engaging in word-of-mouth marketing of his new venture. It would be unfair to say this action or post was a breadcrumb that led the FBI to the eventual closure of the Silk Road. It was a whole loaf of bread. As explained by IRS Special Agent Gary Alford, the way you found the creator of the website was through a simple Google search. Despite the Silk Road being only accessible on Tor, the browser that gives users access to the dark web, Special Agent Alford knew it had to be marketed somewhere, or how would people find out about it? In 2013, he simply Googled the words Silk Road and .onion and found exactly what he was looking for. He found Altoid.
Oops!
In posts that are still active on BitcoinTalk.com, he is seen advertising for an IT pro for a Bitcoin-backed startup company.
I mean, some people are so smart, but also, like, so dumb, man.
And lists an email to contact him, rossulbricht@gmail.com.
Oh, no! He used his real name at Gmail!
His real name. Of course, looking for developers for your black market operation while using a Gmail account with your real life name is not the best way to go about things. Since Altoid was a name that popped up very frequently when searching for mentions of Silk Road, this was enough to get a warrant for that email address. Ross was monitored until undercover agents tracked him to San Francisco Public Library, where they distracted him and grabbed his open computer. He was logged into the mastermind of the Silk Road website.
Oh my, what is he sitting around in the library for? Why would he do this?
And in another tab, a full diary dedicated to the creation of Silk Road.
No! What the fuck? Is this just gonna be like 30 minutes of a black screen and nothing else? Because, like, to me, the story it's already over. Like, we're good. We're done.
With his name written in there. That is the story of how Ross Ulbricht was tracked and caught by using a simple Google search. During his trial in New York City, a 33-page document was brought to light with direct messages proving that Ross paid over $1 million in Bitcoin to hire Hells Angels bikers to murder 5 people, and that's going to be the rest of
Jesus
this video.
Christ!
First, I'm going to need to introduce you to a couple of the starting characters. Lucy Drop was a vendor who sold LSD on Silk Road, and his product was good. Eventually, though, he started selling weaker and weaker product before performing what people would consider an exit scam. Friendly Chemist is the first point of contact to Dread Pirate Roberts, who is Ross Ulbricht and the owner/creator of Silk Road. March 13th, 2013. Can you please get Dread Pirate Roberts to message me right away? It's very serious, a matter of life and death. Also has to do with the identities of a dozen top vendors and thousands of Silk Road customers. It's very important, so please get
I'm not going to judge anyone's spelling and grammar, but I'm kind of judging this guy's spelling and grammar.
Do not ask me what this is concerning. He got exactly what he asked for. The next day, Ross replied simply, "What can I do for you?" A few hours later, Friendly Chemist claimed he was Lucy Drop's supplier, waiting for payment, which Lucy Drop had told him is being withheld by the Silk Road market and therefore by Dread Pirate Roberts himself. He goes on to claim that he has put a keylogger on Lucy Drop's computer and can prove it with his login details. He gave $900,000 of product to Lucy Drop for $200,000 up front. He accused DPR, Silk Road and Lucy Drop of working together to scam people, and he continued to threaten to release all the information about the Silk Road users if it wasn't for the fact that he would be paid.
Like, this got nothing to do with me? I've obviously never been near anything like this before. I'm getting nervous just watching this. This is scary.
$500,000. To this, Dread Pirate Roberts responded with the truth. He'd never spoken to Lucy Drop. He had no dealings with him in the first place. There was no deal, he wasn't scamming anybody, and instead suggested that Lucy Drop must be tricking him. This, however, did not convince Friendly Chemist. He doesn't believe there was no deal. His life was in danger from, quote, not regular people. He just needs to be paid as soon as possible, or he will release the customer information, which would drastically harm the Silk Road business. The vendor information would probably result in most of the top vendors for Silk Road being busted by the authorities. I will get in touch with Lucy Drop and get back to you. DPR wanted all the information he'd harvested from the keylogger so he could verify it, and clearly at this stage, he was trying to verify whether or not Friendly Alchemist had damaging information, which he claimed to have, and how damaging it would be, sizing up how big of a threat he was to the whole operation. 4 minutes after he sent this reply to Friendly Chemist, he also contacted Lucy Drop for the very first time. "I've been contacted by a member named Friendly Chemist. He claims to know you and has done business with you in real life. He's making wild accusations and threats against you, me, and other members of the community. If you indeed know him, could you please provide me with his name and address? I'd like to stop him in his tracks by revealing that I know who he is and will retaliate if he does anything stupid. Please don't contact him if possible. I'd like to handle it myself." Lucy Drop didn't reply. Friendly Chemist replied to his message asking for the keylogger information, stating that he didn't harvest the customer logs, but instead that Lucy Drop, like an idiot, kept in-depth logs of every single transaction he ever made. Thousands of orders, 20 or more vendor identities, 5,000 customer identities, and more. He included a long list of addresses from around the world, which was redacted from the document, but did prove he did have what he said he did. DPR reassured him that he would get in touch once he'd heard back from Lucy Drop, which of course Friendly Chemist did not appreciate, since this gave him no clear timeline on when he would be getting the money he allegedly needed to pay off the people who was threatening his family. "These people I borrowed money from have been asking me to meet with them and said they don't want to have to come and find me. I'm scared, and you don't seem to even care that you guys are scamming me and putting my life in danger." On March 16th, 2013, an account by the name of Real Lucy Drop claimed that they had been in prison for an undisclosed reason for the last 7 months, and his business partner had stolen his operation, pushing him out of the money and the account. This business partner was now allegedly posing as Lucy Drop and selling weak products or scamming using the reputation he had built up. In this message, he asked how to contact Dread Pirate Roberts. DPR immediately saw this and contacted the account. "Hi there, how did this new person gain access to your account?" To which the Real Lucy Drop responded stating he didn't gain access, as they were partners in real life and they started a Lucy Drop vendor together. He handled the account until he was picked up on a warrant for prior drug
Seems like there was a
offenses,
Bitcoin in the beginning,
Friendly
which is
Chemist
like
was
just
in fact
drug
the
money,
middleman for
man.
obtaining the product, and ends the message asking this question: "How do you know Friendly Chemist?" This, of course, is a mistake, the first mistake we see. DPR never mentioned Friendly Chemist to Real Lucy. The only time he mentioned Friendly Chemist was to an account that he allegedly no longer has access to, as it was stolen by his partner over half a year ago. At this stage, just to make sure we're all following along with the characters in the timeline, Lucy Drop is the vendor that allegedly was exit scamming and has not yet replied to anybody. Dread Pirate Roberts is the Silk Road admin who is being blackmailed by Friendly Chemist, who alleges he is Lucy Drop's plug and a middleman for some very dangerous people who he owes money to. Real Lucy Drop claims he's the original owner of the Lucy Drop account and he's just been released from prison. DPR now responds to Real Lucy Drop, stating he's being blackmailed by Friendly Chemist and that he's glad he knows him.
Wait, for a second, and I don't know why, I thought Dread Pirate Roberts would pick up on this. And he didn't?
The address, the name, anything he could provide. I need his real-world identity so I can threaten him with violence if he were to release any names. I can't let him release those IDs. Real Lucy Drop was of course not keen on this idea. I don't know how I feel about that solution. Remember that he also knows my real-world identity and is evidence on me as well. I'm sure you are well aware of what would happen to me if my information was to be released. He would instead set up a meeting and try to reason with Friendly Chemist, to which DPR responds simply, "Okay Lucy, do me proud." Real Lucy Drop came back a day later with a lot of information, essentially reaffirming that Friendly Chemist would release the information as the people he was dealing with were not playing around. The people he borrowed the product from are a big criminal organization in Canada, the Hells Angels. A plan was presented. The plan involved
Hells Angels
DPR
is all
paying
over the
Friendly
place,
Chemist
US
what he
and
owed this
Canada?
gang, and in return he would provide drugs to be sold to pay back the loan. Friendly Chemist would also give up his identity as collateral in case DPR was worried of his payment being received and still releasing the documents, damaging the Silk Road market. DPR of course didn't like this plan. Give me his identity so I will have leverage in dealing with him. You said you don't know what to do.
Oh, they
so
started
let
in
me take
Canada.
over
No way.
and give me
I
all
always
the
thought they
info
were
you have
started in
so I have
like
the best chance of diffusing
California.
this situation. Real Lucy Drop was not convinced by this. Yes, I do know his identity, but you threatening him will not help the situation. He's deathly afraid of the people he owes money to, and they already know where he lives and where his kids go to school, etc. He was not going to give up the information on Friendly Chemist, not due to the risk of his so-called supplier, but because he was afraid he would turn witness if he got spooked and turn in
They're a
information
common
about
sight?
himself,
That seems a
resulting
little
in him going
spooky.
to prison. Do not bother messaging me again if the message does not contain his personal information. I'm not fronting money to anyone, and I won't be blackmailed. You don't know how to handle this situation, but I do. Dread Pirate Roberts' response was final, and this finality seemed to have gotten through to Real Lucy Drop. If you really think you have a good idea to deal with him, I'll give you the information you want about his identity. Please understand why I'm hesitant, as it is my freedom we're dealing with. He then asked how to send over the ID with plain text or PGP, which is an encryption service commonly used on the darknet. DPR then immediately went back to Friendly Chemist. Have your suppliers contact me here so I can work something out with them. Do not tell them I owe you money. You should copy paste this message to them. At the same time, he sent a PGP key over to Real Lucy Drop so he could send him over the encrypted ID, which is exactly what Real Lucy Drop did. The information that was sent, however, was not complete. It didn't have a full address, as DPR responded asking again for his exact address. At this point in the story on March 25th, 12 days after the first private message interactions from Friendly
Weird how
Chemist
it's
and
like
DPR,
half
a
gang
new
members,
user
half
is
just bikers.
introduced, Red and White. And this is where it starts to get real crazy. The first message reads, I was asked to contact you. We are the people Friendly Chemist owes money to. We hold him and him only responsible for the missing product or money. He was apparently only getting in touch to find out what exactly DPR wanted. DPR of course wanted to clarify the whole situation. He himself didn't owe anyone any money, but was instead being blackmailed by Friendly Chemist. I'm not entirely sure what the best action to take is, but I wanted to be in communication with you.
Now everybody's like being all amicable. They're all being like buddies.
We can come to a conclusion that works for everyone. At this point, DPR propositions Red and White. You have lots of product, why not sell it on our marketplace? Red and White, of course, was intrigued by this. How much is it possible to sell on here if we listed every product far cheaper than everyone else? We have a majority hold over most of the movement of products
There's
in Western
Canada.
Canada. He also touches on the Friendly Chemist situation, how Friendly Chemist will not meet up with them due to fear of what they may do to him, how the gang might not want to sell on Silk Road due to this missing $700,000. If you can get Friendly Chemist to meet up with us or pay us his debt, then I'm sure I would be able to get people in our group to give this online side of business a try. After this message, DPR contacted Real Lucy Drop again, clearly desperate to get the full address of Friendly Chemist now that he has this fantastic offer from Red and White. Why haven't you gotten the address yet? Bring me the address and $1,000 in Bitcoin is
That's
yours.
insane,
He also
dude.
responded back to Red and White. In my eyes, Friendly Chemist is a liability
Yo! What?
and I wouldn't mind if he was executed, but then you'd be out your 700k. Accompanying this blunt opening, he also gave up information he gained from Real Lucy Drop, the full name, age, rough address location, as well as the fact that Friendly Chemist has a wife and 3 kids.
No!
The rest of the message is information on how much money they could make from selling product on the Silk Road website. Red and White, however, no longer needed that information. He already knew who Friendly Chemist was, and he also has another prize. We have kidnapped Friendly Chemist partner Jin and are on the hunt for Friendly
What
Chemist.
the fuck?
This news was exciting to DPR. I understand, and that is great news about Jin. If I understand the situation, he's the one responsible for your loss. Now, to take a quick break and clarify on the roles here and who exactly is Jin, we are to believe that Jin is Lucy Drop, the partner of Real Lucy Drop, who allegedly stole his business and used his reputation to scam. Jin would then be responsible for selling the product from Friendly Chemist and therefore owing him the $700,000 that he would need to pay back to Red and White. However, at this point, Red and White clarifies that they are no longer missing any product. There is no loss anymore also. We were able to recover all of our missing product when we grabbed Jin. After some questioning, he admitted he was intending on moving to a different country and setting up a new seller account on this site. We don't take too kindly to thieves. He's gone. This is when Friendly Chemist started to ramp up his pressure. He knows now that his partner has been taken out and he's panicking big time. You leave me no choice. I want 500,000 USD within 72 hours or I'm going to post all the info I have. I can't go back to my home and I've had to move my wife and kids somewhere else and I need the money so I can move my family and start a new life. What's it going to be? DPR tries to calm him down. Don't do anything foolish. The people you owe money to have caught up with Jin and reclaimed their losses. I spoke to them and calmed them down. They are likely going to become vendors here on SR. Now you can calm down too. Go back to your normal life and don't get involved in this stuff anymore. This did not have the intended effect at all. You think I don't know what they did to Jin? You think I can just go on with my life? You don't know these people. I owed them money and I ran away from
That's
them.
nuts.
It's over for me. He doubled down on the threat, though of course now stating that he only had 63 hours remaining. 63 hours to pay the $500,000 or risk having the identities of over 5,000 Silk Road users exposed for buying illegal drugs and services, decimating a large chunk of DPR's business, and exposing dozens of vendors that would also destroy the site's product supply. DPR's response to this threat was strangely calm. Do me a favor and make it 96 hours. I will get back to you on Monday. I want to work this out, but I have big plans for this weekend and I don't want to have to deal with this. This wasn't a lie. He did have big plans, though they were plans that Friendly Chemist would definitely not be enjoying. As soon as this message was sent to Friendly Chemist, stalling for time, DPR immediately reached out to Red and White. This is where his weekend's big plans would be revealed. I hate to come to you with a problem when we are just starting to get to know one another, but Blake, Friendly Chemist, is causing me problems. Are you still looking for him, or now that you found Jin, have you given up? I would like to put a bounty on his head if it's not too much trouble for you. What would be an adequate amount to motivate you to find him? Necessities like this do happen from time to time for a person in my
That is
position.
so scary.
I have others I can turn to, but it is always good to have options, and you are close to the case right now. Hopefully this is something you are open to and can be another aspect.
The crazy thing about it is like just how like professional and respectful they are to each other. Like just talking about like, oh, I need like, 1,000 envelopes. Can you send me a box of 1,000 envelopes? Copy machine's out of toner. Can you send somebody over? Get it filled up?
Aspect of our business relationship. Regards, DPR. Red and White was open to facilitating this transaction, though there is no firm price listed as of yet. He describes how they usually handle hits. They're not looking for him anymore for their own reasons, but they could be motivated financially to find him if they could agree upon terms. DPR responded to this with what...
Wait, what is... We pay hitters a percentage of what the person owes, how much they can achieve. Is it hit because you don't want the person around anymore?
Find him if they could agree upon terms. DPR responded to this with what might be viewed as a slight change of mind on the hit. If you can find his location, that may be enough for me to scare him off. He's trying to blackmail me. Just let me know what you need to make this worth your while. Red and White, however, nudged him slightly with some common sense. If I find his location and you use it against him to scare him, there is a chance he will switch locations again. Speaking from experience, it will become a lot more difficult to find him again after that, once he knows that there are people capable of finding him. He then goes on to feel out how much DPR would be willing to pay. How much was ending this man's life worth to him? DPR clarifies the reason for wanting to make him disappear forever. He doesn't owe me anything, but he is threatening to expose the identities of thousands of my clients that he was able to acquire working with Jin if I don't pay him off. As you don't take kindly to thieves, this kind of behavior is unforgivable to me, especially here on Silk Road. Anonymity is sacrosanct, it doesn't have to be clean. Red and White now listed the price. It was expensive. Price for clean is 300,000 plus USD. Price for non-clean is 150 to 200,000 USD, depending on how you want it done. These prices pay for 2 professional hitters, including their travel expenses and work they put in. We can use out-of-town hitters if you want as well, but I would not suggest them because they come with.
I like how the guy's like going through the whole sales process. When would you like
this done? DPR, of course, was not a fan of the price. He also revealed this is not his first rodeo. Don't want to be a pain here, but the price seems high. Not long ago, I had a clean hit done for $80,000 US. All the prices you take with the best you can.
It's your first time discount. You got a new sign up coupon I could use.
do. I would like this done ASAP, as he's talking about releasing the info on Monday. Red and White now knew that he was in the ultimate power position in terms of negotiation. There's a strict deadline where the person needed to vanish within the next 24 hours, and that means it's unlikely DPR would be able to find another hitter in time for less money, especially since Red and White is the one who knows the location of Friendly Chemist already. I'm sorry, but we can't do anything for that price. Best I can do is 150, and even that is pushing it. Since you need a rush job done, usually we would charge even more. In the interest of business relationship to be, I could do 150, no lower. If 150 does not work for you, we're gonna have to pass. He follows up with some information on how this money is distributed, the methods they use for the hits, and then replies again right after to move things along due to the deadlines they use for the hits.
Hold on, I want to read that. We're paying him to set it. Oh, I see. So they're bribing his associate to get him out there.
He follows up with some information on how this money is distributed, the methods they use for the hits, and then replies again right after to move things along due to the deadline. The time for negotiating was over. He left this message with both a Bitcoin address and finality. I will check the computer in about 10 hours, and if I see that you do want to go ahead with this and the payment has been sent, we'll do it today. If you want a picture confirmation of the job afterwards, give me random numbers and I'll have them right then beside
Oh my god, that's messed up.
DPR responded the same day with confirmation. Thank you, R&W. I've only ever commissioned the one other hit, so I'm still learning this market. I have no problem putting my faith in you, and I'm sure you will do a good job. The exchange rate is above 90 right now, so at $90 per
Oh my god. Think of all the money the Hells Angels could have made by hodling. What's 1,670 Bitcoin worth nowadays? $43 million. That's what it says. Damn.
Bitcoin, 150,000 is about 1,670 Bitcoin. If the market tanks in the next few days, I will send more. Here are some random numbers for a picture. Here is the transaction hash for 1,670 Bitcoin to your address. Good luck and be safe. The blockchain doesn't lie. He did send exactly this amount of Bitcoin on this exact date to that exact
current value of this transaction is now worth $72 million.
Yes, this is clear evidence of Dread Pirate Roberts.
I mean, here's the thing, though. To be very clear, just because the price says it's that much, if you were to try and withdraw that amount of money, like, I think you tank the price of Bitcoin, like, substantially if you're to try to take that amount of money out at one time.
Hiring a hitman to kill Friendly Chemist, a result of a blackmail that would expose his customers and ruin
like,
his market.
Could you take out like 100,000? Yeah, probably. Could you take out $1 million? I don't know. And that much? Definitely
its
not.
credibility. He would clearly do anything to keep Silk Road working as he envisioned. Red and White replied a day later on April 1st, 2013, "Your problem has been taken care of." They seized a bunch of stuff he had with him at the time as well. They said he had a couple of laptops and a bunch of USB sticks. "Is there anything that belongs to you?" They questioned him and he spilled everything he knew. He said that he and Jin...
With Bitcoin, it wouldn't go down a huge amount. You physically couldn't get paid for all of that, and you'd immediately have the IRS all over you. Ooh, the IRS would be like coming in their shorts. They'd be so happy. Lay all that tax.
We're actually working together on this scheme to blackmail you, and that they were brought in by a third guy who has been selling on here for a couple of years, who is also a scam artist. Apparently he makes selling accounts, sells for a while and then pulls a big scam and just keeps creating new accounts after he does his scams. They got that guy's name also. I will give that to you free of charge when I meet them to get the picture and computer hardware they got. Rest easy though, because he won't be blackmailing anyone again, ever. DPR kept things professional in his response, but he was clearly happy the job was done and also shows interest in learning more about this third party. Excellent work. Please send any info you can on this third party along with a picture. The picture can be uploaded here. I've no need for any of his possessions, so you can do what you want with that stuff. Thank you again for your assistance. Red and White replied the next day with a long message explaining exactly what Friendly Chemist spilled in his last moments of interrogation. He goes...
Hold on. They're working with a guy that turned them on to frauding people on here. He said that he started selling on Silk Road a couple of years ago, and since then he's made a career of making new seller profiles and sell, and then rip people off. He told them how to start on here and how to rip people off and ask for a percentage in return. What? That's so, like, bro, man. Like, what are you doing? He didn't he remember all the names he used, but he used to say that Tony76 and Nipple Suck Canuck.
Explaining exactly what Friendly Chemist spilled in his last moments of interrogation. He goes over how Jin and Friendly Chemist were working with a man named Andrew from Surrey. He was defrauding people in the way we previously covered, essentially making accounts, getting a good reputation, selling great products with above and beyond service, and then after luring people into a false sense of security, would do one big sale and exit scam all the money. He listed 2 accounts he knows the name of other than Lucy Drop, which were used by this group: Nipple Suck Canuck and Tony76.
He said it!
That many people on the Silk Road forums had long since speculated was actually Lucy Drop due to their similarities of writing patterns, method of scam, and location being Canada. The puzzle was starting to fit together and the picture was clear. This group was orchestrating scams for years now, stealing thousands of Bitcoin and damaging DPR's vision for the Silk Road, and he couldn't let them get away with it. After some short back and forth about stripping location data from a picture so they could upload proof of the hit on Friendly Chemist, the wheels start to turn for the second murder for hire that DPR would put out on the accomplice. If you can find him, I would like to know. He also confirms he received the picture of Friendly Chemist with the numbers next to him after the hit took place, and that he had deleted the picture for safety. He wanted to take out Andrew, the accomplice, but he also wanted to make sure Friendly Chemist was telling the truth. I'd rather miss the chance to take him out than hit an innocent person. He also wanted Andrew to be held and interrogated. The idea being, if this was the remaining member of the group defrauding his customers, he would have substantial funds that may be retrieved.
Yeah.
Red and White, of course, was open to this and sets about the job. I will send 2 of my guys to do some recon right now and find out what I can about him and get back to you immediately. We can discuss price later once we know more. PR seemed conflicted about potentially having the wrong man, but at the same time was way more interested in the potential of recovering tens of thousands of stolen Bitcoin. He's likely to be sitting on many thousands of stolen Bitcoin, perhaps tens of thousands, so I would think we'd want to work him over to get those funds back. Red and White returned later that day with the recon. Apparently the supplier of illicit products that Andrew was using had rolled on him, giving up what he ordered, the frequency of the orders, and his plans to move out of the province very soon. That might be because he's found out about Jin and Friendly Chemist and is now scared. The rest of this message retells the information they got.
I mean, but like, I don't understand. Like, you know the scam is up. Your 2 associates have been taken out. Like, you should be in a car or an airplane immediately.
Interrogating
like, you should be in another country entirely under a new name.
Chemist.
That to be clear, that is not me. Everything's okay. To be clear, I'm going back home.
In more detail.
But you know what I mean? Like, why are you sitting around for? What are you waiting for?
How all the information lined up. He also stated that after finding where Andrew was staying, he had 3 other people in the house with him for a total of 4 in the building. The people were also in on the scheme. They were selling
I even
products
shaved
with
my head.
Andrew, aka
Look, I'm a very public internet clown that's openly talking about where I am.
Tony 76. The reason these 3 people being in the building and working with him is critically important to the story is that Red and White also talked about a potential 15,000 Bitcoin theft in this message. This means that somewhere in that building with these 4 people, one of which he knows DPR already wants to have removed from life, could be over 20,000 Bitcoin, which at the time would be worth around
How do we know
$2
I'm actually in
million.
Japan?
The message ends, do you want to deal with this Andrew guy, or do you want me to
I've
put
got
the team on
a
standby?
bottle of tea that you
DPR
can
was
only
led
get
to
in
this
Japan.
conclusion like a horse to water, and he started to drink. I'm confident enough that is him to move forward. Can we round up all 4 of them, separate them, and get them to out each other and give up their stolen money? He then explains how it could be difficult to recover the Bitcoin if the team of hitters are not familiar with how Bitcoin works, and that he would need more information to piece together how much this crew could have.
I mean, I ate the
stolen.
crown
Red
the
and
other
White
day.
explained that this would be very difficult. He could pull it off, but it would require more hitters, and there are no discounts for group jobs. In fact, due to the difficulty, it should go up in price. However, since the working relationship was going good so far, he would do it for $150,000 each, $600,000 total for all 4 of them to be interrogated and then removed from this mortal realm. DPR, however, wasn't hot on this idea. Not on the idea of removing them from life, but on the idea it would cost him $600,000. Clearly, the dollar sign was the issue, so it was back to the original plan. Okay, let's just hit Andrew and leave it at that. Try to recover the funds, but if not, then not. How much do you need for this? Red and White, however, hadn't given up on this idea. If you want to hit Andrew only, I can have it done for 150 just like last time. We wouldn't be able to do it at their place though, because there are always at least a few of them there from what I'm told, since it is their home office. So we wouldn't be able to recover any of his things.
I mean, I think... I mean, is it fair to like openly speculate on... Red and White's clearly a professional. I mean, to me, it's interesting. Like, I would think 100%, no matter what the other guy says, he's going to take them all in, and he's going to recover all those drives and find a way of getting all that Bitcoin. And it's just a matter of whether or not the other guy wants to get cut in or not.
Give his opinion on the situation and how if these other 3 were left to continue their scams, they would continue to cause issues for DPR and Silk Road. He also offers a discount for the whole package. If you would like
so
to
all he's doing, like, no matter what, he's just going to get more money out of Jed Pirate Roberts or not, but he's going to get into that Bitcoin no matter what. I mean, and I do, but the funny thing is, like, I don't think he would lie about the amount of Bitcoin they recovered. That's the funny thing. Like, I think he would probably be honest about that.
As well, I would be able to have it done for 500,000 USD. If you do not want all of them and just Andrew, it would be 150k. I would prefer to do all 4, as it would be better than having to get Andrew somewhere else and have no chance of recovering any potential product / money he may have. Anything recovered would be split 50-50 with you. This message ends with a prompt for payment. If you would like just Andrew done, send 150,000 USD to the same address you sent the other funds to. If you would like all 4 of them done and product / money recovered from there, send 500,000 USD to the same address you sent the other funds to. This was enough to convince DPR. Okay, I'll defer to your better judgment and hope we can recover some assets from them. 500,000 in Bitcoin has been sent. At this time, Bitcoin was $166 each. He listed the transaction hash and once again...
No, I mean, is he an extortionist? No. Look, Dread Pirate Roberts is the guy that messaged him in the first place. You know, the other guy's just thinking he's getting milked. Brothers, he could have said no, and in all likelihood, the friggin' Hell's Angels 50-50 split of the seizure, absolutely extraordinary. Is he going to go out there and get anything? If he found somebody that he thought could do it for cheaper, he would have gone to them. He could have given them $10.90. He could have said you get 10%. What's he going to do?
This transaction is
He's just some guy that sits in the library in his laptop.
publicly verifiable. On April 8th, 2013, DPR sent 3,000 Bitcoin valued at $498,000 to the same wallet he previously sent $150,000 for the murder of Blake, aka Friendly Chemist. 3 days later, on April 11th,
Giving too much credit about caring about Bitcoin? Well, he got paid in it. Right at that moment, he had a bunch of money sitting around. Right now they're talking about adding each other as buddies on Pigeon. Look, I'm not saying I know anything about organized crime hitmen, but I would assume, like everything, you've got like, you know, your Days Inn, you got your Ramada, your Hilton, and then you've got the Four Seasons. And maybe they're like the Four Seasons.
11th, Red and White messaged DPR to update him on the status of the job. Our hitters have been watching their house and we have a 1 week window to do it. But I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions before giving them the green light. At this point, he talks about the fluctuating price of Bitcoin and how before they could convert them to real money, the price dumped to 61 USD each. Essentially, he wanted paying more Bitcoin to cover this fluctuation so they were not massively shortchanged on the job. DPR replied letting him know he would be willing to cover the difference, and then there is a 3-day lull in communication before Red and White gets back in touch. That problem was dealt with. I'll try to catch you online to give you details, just wanted to let you know right away so you have one less thing to worry about. Beyond this, the communication fizzles out very quickly, and this is where the story ends. The story of Ross Ulbricht, aka Dread Pirate Roberts, is absolutely crazy. At the start of this video, I mentioned 6 murders for hire, and you may have noticed that we only discussed 5 so far, the 4 people in the house and Friendly Chemist. That's because the 6th murder for hire, the one that DPR claimed to have paid $80,000 for, is a different story altogether, and never actually happened. He had in fact purchased this murder for hire from an undercover DEA agent, and it was aimed at a former Silk Road staffer. Now what if I was to tell you that the other 5 murders for hire, the ones we've just went over, none of those happened either?
Oh! I bought into it, man! I believed all of it! I believed everything! Oh, man!
According to the trial of Ross Ulbricht, where these private messages were first presented, no one by any of the names ever existed.
They got
He had
me!
been scammed, though he likely never knew this was the case until we did. Him and Red and White, the supposed Hells Angels contact who had helped him get rid of 5 people for $650,000
You're the one that said he was fleecing them on the extortion! You believed it too!
$1,000 in Bitcoin, continued to speak using an untraceable method of...
So he straight up sent, like, the government agents. Like, he sent them Bitcoin.
instant chat.
There's some like, new tech guy at the FBI is like, yeah!
But remembering back to the start of this video, Ross kept a detailed diary of the Silk Road's creation and operation, which the federal government gained access to when they seized his laptop. In that diary, he writes that he loaned out...
How funny would it be if rather than arresting him, the department just kept like going in like every 6 months or 7 months, hitting him with another, we're gonna expose him. They just kept like milking him like a little Bitcoin cow. Oh, sorry, we're short on Bitcoin. It fluctuated down. Gonna have to send us more. Oh, new person coming in Canada. They've got all this information. You want to hire some more hits?
$500,000 after this period to Red and White to start vending on Silk Road, and then later writes that Red and White flaked out and disappeared with my $500,000. This means that Ross paid out $1.15 million in Bitcoin to someone who tricked him using multiple accounts.
Oh, I know it's a government agent. Oh.
Essentially creating an elaborate fanfiction, and honestly, it was a brilliant fanfiction. He used the fact that many users drew links between Tony76 and Lucy Drop due to their location being Canada, very similar writing styles and methods of exit scamming, and then he introduced enough real-world elements while keeping the pressure on after discovering the primary motivations of DPR.
He got so scammed, man. Scammed for the different reasons than you thought, like mega scam.
As soon as he knew that DPR would do anything he could to protect the Silk Road marketplace, he could just constantly introduce threats and also solutions. Ross was never charged for these 5 murders for hire that never happened, despite the Bitcoin he sent to Red and White being verifiably from his very own personal Bitcoin wallet. He did, however, get charged on 7 counts related to drug trafficking, money laundering, and computer hacking, and for this, on 7 counts.
Is this like a real courtroom sketch? That is like the most mega zoomer, like flipped up hair wave I think I've ever seen. Do they give you hair product when you're in jail to style your hair like that? Is his hair just naturally like that?
Counts related to drug trafficking, money laundering, and computer hacking, and for this, Ross Ulbricht received 30 years to life in prison, which is where he remains today. As for the money in today's market, the total that Ross was scammed out of was 7,225 Bitcoin, which on the 10th of April 2022 would be worth $308 million.
Oh, man. All right, so I look. I know that, like, I mean, I don't know how you get to that point, or you have that much money, and you're not just living in like the Cayman Islands. You know what I mean? Like not even 308 million, even like 2 million. 1 million. I mean, there's plenty of places in the world. So the majority of the world, if you had $1 million invested conservatively, you could live extremely well for the rest of your life. Forever. Indefinitely. And this guy's getting scammed out of the equivalent of $308 million. Well, obviously it was not $308 million, but he had at least $1 million. Absolutely, Turnip. Absolutely.
As for the scammer,
10 years at best? That would be 100,000 a year.
During a later investigation, Bitcoins traded from Red and White's account lined up with another seller on Silk Road named Mary Jane Is My Muse, both of which were registered on a Canadian Bitcoin exchange that had the name James Ellingson. The Silk Road is the source of many insane stories, but this one for me definitely wins the prize.
What? So what? But that was the government, right? No, I'm confused. That last thing he said there confused me. Maybe it's another video to follow up on it. No, that was just somebody who scammed him. He wasn't real. That wasn't the government. I thought it was the government. It was another scammer. Jesus Christ. Was it not the government that scammed him in the first place?
Saying he had 3 other people in the house with him for a total of 4 in the building. The people
Did I miss that?
Original plan and Silk Road would be split 15, valued, and how before they could convert them to real money, the price dumped, not massively shortchanged on 3 days was dealt while their story ends. The story of Ross Ulbricht, aka Dread Pirate Roberts, is absolutely crazy.
Oh, okay. So he got scammed, but then the 80,000 was the government scam. So it was only the 80,000. I get it. Okay. So the government didn't get that much money. Not good, man. All right, we're going to end the stream now because I need probably a couple hours to download Armored Core. I could play it in 3.5 hours, so I'll probably try and sleep a little bit of that. And then we'll be back on. I'm not going to promise I'll be back on right at 7 because I might oversleep. But we'll do a stream. We'll stream at least a little bit, and then we'll go back to our normal stream time tomorrow. So take a little break, and I'll see you guys pretty soon. Have a good afternoon, morning, whatever it is for you. All right, love y'all. Goodbye.